So I am back in Asunción, Paraguay. I left here around March earlier of this year, 2025, to spend a few months in Colombia and also visit the United States to visit family and friends. So it's been about 5.5 months since I've been back. But prior to that, I was already living in Paraguay for about 8 months out of the year. So returning here really feels less like visiting and feels more like returning home, if you ask me. And here's the thing. After living in 12 different cities and 9 different countries across Latin America, I can honestly say that this place stands out and that most people overlook Asunción, Paraguay when they think about South America. But I think that's a big mistake. So in this video, I'm gonna share why I think Paraguay is not only the best place to live in South America, but really all over Latin America in general. From the vibe of the city, to the cost of living, to the residency options, to the safety, to the dating culture, and even the networking aspect and finding male friends, Paraguay is a hidden gem that deserves serious consideration. By the way, if you're new here, my name's Alex, and on this channel, I share everything I've learned about leaving the US and living a much higher quality of life in Latin America as a man over 35. So if that sounds interesting to you, be sure to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Let's dive right in. So number one, the vibe of Asunción, Paraguay. Now Asunción is a mid-sized city of about a little over 2 million people in the entire metro area. A lot of people think it's smaller than what it is. A lot of people think it's like maybe 600, 700,000, but that's just in the newer Asunción area, right? But when you include the entire metro area like San Lorenzo, Lambaré, Limpio, Luque, right? All these other cities surrounding Asunción, it totals a little over 2 to 3 million people in the entire metro area, okay? So when it comes to living and not just visiting, that's really the sweet spot that I look for. Why is that? It's because it's big enough to have enough variety, such as good restaurants, good nightlife, decent infrastructure, nice gyms, co-working spaces, if that's your thing, plenty of dating options if you're a single guy like myself, right? But it's also small enough that you don't feel the chaos of a mega city such as a Bogota, Colombia, or Lima, Peru, or Sao Paulo, right? You don't get the unwanted tourism and busyness and unfriendliness of a larger city, right? You don't stand out as much versus these mid-sized cities that I like to live in. And what I found is once a city hits about 5 million people or more, it usually loses that small town charm where it becomes busier, noisier, more touristy. You're more of a smaller fish in a bigger pond. You lose your edge as a foreigner. You're just seen as just another gringo, right? That's really the tipping point, I think. Now, on the flip side, if you live in a city of under 1 million population, you now run the risk of getting bored too quickly. You run out of dating options sooner, again, if you're a single guy. You also start bumping into the same people a lot that maybe you went on a, let's say you met someone on a date, right? Maybe there's only a few good date spots in that city and you'll bump into the same girl that you might have already seen, right? So it's that kind of a vibe when it's under 1 million. So again, I think Asunción sits right in the middle, and for me, it's just the right size. Now, at this stage in my life, I'm 37 years old, I'm a single guy, no kids. I'm focused on building projects and long-term stability, right? So really what I want is I want to chill, calm environment, all right? I don't need big, crazy cities that are super fun to visit, and I do enjoy visiting, right? Places like Buenos Aires or Lima, Peru are awesome to visit, but they're not ideal for me to lock in when it comes to working, when it comes to focus, and eventually even building a family, right? Finding more of a stable, longer-term girl to potentially build a family with. Asunción gives me that boring life that a lot of people do consider Asunción to be boring, but I think that's a good thing if you're at this stage in your life, right? Boring is actually good. It gives you balance, it gives you focus where maybe you have a mission, maybe you have strong vision, strong goals. This gives you that balance that you're looking for to really focus, but also still have all the other stuff on the side, which I'll share that with you later in this video. And the great thing is that whenever I want excitement, I can just hop over to Buenos Aires in maybe a couple hours. I can go to Brazil. I can go to the beaches in Brazil. I can go to Lima, Peru. I can go to Colombia for really as little or as long as I want, right? So I don't need to live in a city where there's a bunch of variety. I can just easily hop on a plane for a short, quick trip that's really affordable, direct flight from Asunción anywhere in South America. That is the beautiful part of living in South America. And I will say this as well, for the single guys on this channel, Paraguayan women fit into this same vibe, right? Compared to other countries like Mexico, Colombia, other parts of Latin America, Central America, women here are more chill, they're more low drama, they're more traditional. In my opinion, they're more of the relaxed and chill Latinas, right? Which makes them great partners for men who are thinking more long-term and more stability. All right, now let's talk residency and long-term freedom. So Paraguay still offers one of the easiest, most affordable, fastest residency programs in Latin America. All right, now it really depends on who you work with. I've tried working with someone else in the past and it wasn't a good experience, but this time it's gotten a lot smoother since I've been back. Maybe I could do a totally separate video on my residency experience. You can't beat the ease and the affordability to get long-term, temporary, then eventually permanent, and then eventually if you want citizenship here, there's a pathway to that too. But what that means is you can get legal residency, you can get access to local banking, you can convert your dollars into a totally different currency to avoid the currency risk. You can create a long-term base, you can get a year-long lease, you can start businesses in this country with very minimal hassle compared to pretty much any other country I've come across, okay? While other countries are tightening their requirements, and Paraguay is no different. I mean, just a couple of years ago, I think it was, you can get easily a permanent residency. Now it's just temporary that leads to permanent. But Paraguay still keeps things pretty straightforward, pretty simple for now. And the cool thing is residency here doesn't just mean Paraguay. All right, once you get your residency, you'll get your card, but then you'll also get what's called a cedula. And that cedula gives you access to the Mercosur countries, okay? There's an agreement between countries such as Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay. I believe Bolivia is in the mix. I believe Colombia. Some have more ties to Paraguay more than others. But this is going to give you free movement across these countries and other members, as I mentioned. And this is huge if you want long-term freedom and optionality in South America. Keep in mind, as I mentioned, when you're in South America, really you have all the variety that you need. You have big city energy, you have small time vibes, you have mountains, you have, if you like skiing, snowboarding, you can go to Argentina, you go to Chile, you go to Patagonia. If you like beautiful, gorgeous beaches, you go to the north part of Brazil. If you like jungles, if you like tropical, you go to Colombia, right? It has everything. If you like food, if you're a big foodie, you go to Lima, Peru, right? Or you can go to Buenos Aires. Like there's just so much variety in this continent. So this cedula is huge because of the Mercosur agreement and all the countries that are part of that. And another huge benefit to getting residency, of course, is the territorial tax system. So I mentioned this in many different videos, but if your income is online, if you earn US dollars, you are not taxed from any income that comes outside of the country of Paraguay. All right. And there's other countries that have this system as well, but this is a huge benefit. You legally pay zero local tax, right? Obviously, talk to an accountant, structure things the right way. But when you combine this with the foreign earned income tax exclusion, specifically in the US, you can instantly reduce your tax bill immensely, right? Up to a certain amount. I think it's up to like 130,000 if you're outside of the States for a certain period of time, which leads to you being able to put more money into savings, maybe paying off debts, putting more money into investments, right? Or just increasing the quality of your lifestyle. It allows you to put more money into into yourself, your future, your family, versus just have it go away in taxes, and we don't have to get into that conversation. Here's another cool benefit that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to Paraguay is where it's located. Okay, where it's located is very strategic and it's very underrated. Okay, so first off, let me pull up a map. So it's pretty much in the heart of South America, right? And even though it is considered a so-called boring city, right, where there's not a lot of things to do, within South America, you are a direct flight away from places like Buenos Aires, or you can go to Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo. You can even go to Bolivia, Santa Cruz, where it's a little warmer weather. You can go to Lima, Peru. You can go directly to Bogota, right? There's just really centrally located to be able to get all the variety you need within this continent. Now, another perk to it being located here is that if you're someone who doesn't like to be around like certain touristy cities or certain types of tourists, like weekend warriors, I won't get into what that means, but there's certain types of expats or what they call sexpats that really kind of ruin a city, like, you know, what they did to Medellin or even Mexico City. That's a type of tourist that I'd rather not be around, to be honest with you. And the cool thing about Paraguay is that it's not that easy to get to. So people like that who only come here for a weekend, who are not really serious about spending a considerable amount of time here, it's out of the way, right? I'm talking US and Canada specifically. Like for them to get to Paraguay, you're talking 18, 24-hour flights, right? Versus there's direct flights that get you to Peru, that get you to Colombia, right? These are countries that are easier to get to. Obviously, Mexico, even Central America, right? The Caribbean, DR, those are much easier places to get to. But Paraguay is a place that you're not going to find short-term tourists who come just to ruin a city and really just come for the wrong reasons, in my opinion. So I like the fact that it's not easy to get to, that it takes a little longer, and where it's strategically located is also a plus, in my opinion. Now, apart from that, there's also the aspect of safety, right? In my opinion, Paraguay is one of the last places that you'll ever need to worry about as far as being invaded from a bordering country or being a part of a world war, right? Unfortunately, people now are actually worried about a potential world war, right? And the truth is, like, if you're living in the U.S., in major cities in the U.S. or Canada, or even like London, you literally have missiles from, could be Russia, China, that are literally pointed at your country just in case there was ever a world war, right? But Paraguay is one of the last places on earth that, you have these countries, they don't really care about Paraguay, okay? So nobody's coming to invade Paraguay. Again, you never know what can happen. But my point is, it's a very safe place to be in case that were to happen. When you combine that with its water supply, with its sustainable green energy, with its fertile soil, these are just more reasons why, from a safety and a locations perspective, I think Paraguay is a great place to base out of. All right, now let's talk network of like-minded men. All right, so I've already mentioned that Paraguay, unlike Medellin or Mexico City, is not going to attract short-term travelers or backpackers just looking for a cheap party or a cheap thrill, like a good time, right? That filters out a lot of the wrong type of expats or tourists that I want to be around personally. So the men here, the men that I've met here, they tend to be more serious about building an actual life, right? They tend to be a lot more like-minded. What they value is freedom. They value the ease of getting residency here. They want more stability. They want to pay less taxes. So a lot of them have online businesses. Maybe they're in sales. They're entrepreneurial minded. And this creates a much stronger, more intentional network of ambitious men who value freedom and who value similar aspects of what the reason why you left your home country, perhaps. All right, these are guys who just aren't passing through. They're actually building something. Right? They're building something and they're basing somewhere to build that something. And personally, that's the kind of energy that I want to be around at this phase of my life. That's a type of expat or foreigner that I prefer to be around. The point is, if you're someone who's looking for a like-minded friend group or like-minded men or like-minded network, then you'll find that more here in Asunción, Paraguay, really more than most other cities that I've lived in. All right, now dating and building an actual family, right? If you're a single guy, you're looking to build a family someday, right? You want children, you want you want more of a traditional woman, you want someone who's going to support your mission, your vision, your goals. Paraguayan women are great if you're looking for stability. Okay, I've dated quite a bit here. What I found is Paraguayan women are more feminine, they're more family oriented. Like I said, they're lower drama compared to other countries as well. And the truth is, the women that you choose to have children with is one of the most important decisions that you're ever going to make as a man. Okay, I think the first one is the work that you choose, because that's where you're going to spend most of your time. That should be number one, is your mission, your vision, your goals. But right after that comes the woman you have children with, assuming you want kids someday, right? And the city that you choose to build that life in matters just as much, because that's where your woman's going to be. So for me personally, I want a place that's politically stable, that's safe, as I mentioned earlier, where my future wife and children can go to the park, they can go to the mall, right? While I'm maybe working from home, they could run errands without me having to worry about their own safety, right? I can't say that in certain cities in Mexico or Colombia that I would feel safe, my woman and my children going about their day. In Asunción, I'll feel more confident about building a family here in a way that might be harder in other parts of Latin America. And I've already met expats here that have families. They have their home, they have their wife who's Paraguayan, they have their 3 kids, they have their 2 nannies, right? They have everything set up. They live like a multi-million-dollar lifestyle for very affordable, right? I can't give you an exact number, but you can build a really great life here, and you can build a really great family, a legacy, if that's what you want. This is a great place to do it in my opinion. Now, in terms of food and specifically meat culture, right? If you're someone who doesn't eat meat, then this might not be the right place for you, to be honest. Paraguay is a paradise for steak or meat lovers like myself, okay? This country has huge open pastures where cattle graze naturally on the grass, which means that the beef here is leaner, it's cleaner, it's more flavorful, more so than what you'll find in the US, where cows are often fed corn or soy and feedlots. There's much less factory farming here. There's fewer hormones injected. There's fewer additives. and lower stress on the animals. And this all leads to better quality of meat. Also, beef is one of Paraguay's top exports, right? So the quality has to be high. And there's also a cultural pride behind all of this, right? If you ever go to an asado or you have a Paraguayan cook for you the meat, even if you just go to a nice restaurant, you'll find that the way that they cook is slow, and they make it more what they call con amor, right? They prepare their meat and their meals with love, with amor, right? Which requires a little bit of patience, to be honest with you, because sometimes it does take a little long to cook, but the end product is worth it at the end of the day. And the price difference, by the way, for the quality of the meat, for the style that they make it in, let's say in a major US city, $50, I mean, that's probably cheap. That's on the cheaper end. You're probably looking at maybe 80, 100 or more for like a decent, good steak, New York or Boston. But here in Asunción, man, like a $10, $15 steak, you get butter quality for like 1/5 the price in Asunción, right? The quality rivals Argentina and Uruguay, right? Even Brasilia has really good meat too. But all this is amazing quality for just a fraction of the price from what you're used to in the States or Canada. Now let's talk about an obvious one, cost of living advantage, right? Here's the kicker. You can live a very, very high quality of life in Asunción for under $2,000 a month. I think $2,500 is more the sweet spot. If you want to live like a king here, you can live very, very, very well for about $2,500, but even for $2,000 or a little less, you can still live very well here, okay? This is going to include a modern apartment in the best part of the city, eating out as much as you want, nice gym memberships that are brand new, probably better than what you're used to, maybe like close to like what an Equinox would look like. For the same lifestyle in places like Mexico City, Medellin, even Buenos Aires now, you're probably spending about 50 to 100% more in those types of cities. And that cost savings or difference really gives me a good runway to be able to put more in savings, to pay off any debts, to build my business, to reinvest into this channel, right? Put not just money, but also time to put into it. And also grow personally and professionally without a lot of financial stress, which is huge. And on top of all that, labor here is very affordable, okay? You can literally, as I mentioned earlier, you can live like a millionaire or a multimillionaire without earning much money, guys, all right? You can hire, I mean, as a single guy, you can hire a cleaner, you can hire a chef, or you can just eat out every day. You know, that's probably even easier. Eventually, when you have a family or kids someday, if that's what you want, maybe you can hire a driver. You can definitely have live-in nannies if you want, you know, when you have children. In the US, this is a multi-million-dollar lifestyle that you'll need, right? You'll need to make in the millions to be able to afford this type of lifestyle. But in Paraguay, you can get all of this for, don't quote me on this, I'm not 100% sure how much, but I'm pretty confident for under $10,000 a month. Like if you're earning around $10,000 a month or a little more, you can afford this type of lifestyle. And this is life-changing leverage, right? I have these conversations with my friends where they're like, you know, don't have kids, or when you have kids, you better be ready. It's going to take up all your time. I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna have kids unless, you know, I have help, a lot of help, which includes like, you know, nannies, chefs, you know, obviously my woman's gonna probably be managing all that stuff. My opinion, this is a huge edge and a huge advantage to be in a place like Paraguay where you can live like a multi-millionaire for not that much income.
So I hope that video was helpful, guys. Once again, I mean, Paraguay isn't flashy at all. It's not on the tourist trail. In fact, it's a little bit off the beaten path. And in my opinion, that's exactly what makes this place special and unique, because it's a country that flies under the radar a bit. And for men who want more stability, they want affordability, they want more freedom, they want to put more in savings and investments, they want to build something, maybe they want children someday, they want a more family-oriented or traditional woman, and be in a place where labor isn't expensive, where you can afford all the help that you need. It's one of the best places to live in all of South America and in all of Latin America. And after living in 12 different cities, as I mentioned, in 9 different countries, specifically in Latin America, I can say that Paraguay is probably going to be the place that I call home for many years to come. And by the way, if you're serious about visiting or moving to Latin America, from choosing the right city, to finding ideal housing, navigating dating and social life, and actually building the ideal life for you as a man, I offer one-on-one private calls, links in the description. Or if you just want to watch another similar video to this one, just click that video right there and I'll see you there.